Welcome to the SuperPhone Standard podcast. I'm your host, Rob, and today we have guests Dr. Ramon Goings and Renee Goings. Both are founders of Done Dissertation program that really helps doctoral students complete their dissertations within a year or less. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Rob, for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, really want to kick things off here because you guys both have a great story on how you use SuperPhone as well as how you really started your business and really tapped into SMS to help grow things. So would you mind sharing just a little bit more about your business, what it is you do, what really motivated you to get started, and how you're helping students at the moment?
Yeah, so I guess the initial part started off with me when I was a doctoral student in a doctoral program at Morgan State University. I struggled as an academic writer, and I had to figure out a way to put a system together for myself in order to improve. And so I started teaching myself some strategies and implementing them. So by the time I finished my doctoral program, I wrote my dissertation in 7 months, and as well as I started publishing. And what ended up happening is that all my faculty members were saying, hey, telling the younger students, go see Ramon, he's figured this thing out. And so initially just started out for me editing people's documents. And then someone said, you should be charging for this stuff. I wasn't even charging for it. And then they said, well, you should charge. And then by the time I was editing, it was more so I'm like coaching them, telling them what to do, how to navigate things with the people, dissertation chair, all these things that they have to do in addition to the writing. And then the coaching component just grew from there. And I initially just started off doing one-on-one coaching. And by that time, with the onset of COVID, business really, sprung for us. And then at that point, we had to make a decision, like, I can't do one-on-one anymore. I'm a college professor. What can we do? And Renee and I had been talking about growing the program. And so at that point, we said we go from the one-on-one model to now supporting doctoral students in a group model. And since we've been able to grow and blossom from there, then Renee, I don't know if you want to talk about the university partnership side, but what we have going on as well.
Yeah, so we kind of have a two-prong approach to our business. Not only are we helping the doc students via our coaching program, but we're also tapping into universities and providing them with different workshops and seminars, not only to tap into their students, but to also help faculty, because it's kind of like a seesaw. You have the faculty members and you have the students. And so we're really kind of taking like this balance approach and kind of helping both on both sides. So not only are we working with students individually, but we're also working with the universities through partnerships.
Oh, that's great. Now, how did you go about really starting to build that rapport with the universities? Was it just cold outreach? Did you have any personal connects, anyone to kind of get you through the door? How was your approach around really just building that partnership?
Yeah, I guess I'll say this first start. It was a little bit of me. I'm a college professor, and in my field, I'm pretty decently well known, and I have a number of publications. And so I was able to kind of leverage who I was in the field to initially start with my initial network of people who I knew that worked at other universities, and just saying, hey, I'm doing this thing supporting doctoral students. Can I do a workshop with your students? And then that coupled with me having a better presence online and doing a lot of social media marketing and doing a lot of just I host a weekly show online. So all those things started to couple where the university started to see who I was. And then, by that, what Done Dissertation was doing. But then also there's definitely some cold outreach. There definitely was a summer in particular. I had a map of all the 50 states. I said, all right, I'm going to email and find out who's the contact at each of the flagship institutions. So the top school in the state, who is their contact who could possibly have us come in and do services. I literally was cold emailing everybody. And so that was another route that we've done. We still kind of implement I would say both of those strategies to this day.
Definitely.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that's great. Now let's pivot a little bit more in terms of how you really got started with the SMS space and your outreach approach. Did you strictly just start with emails? Did you set up your SuperPhone initially, as well as reaching out to people through text or phone calls? Really, what was your approach there, and what made you choose SuperPhone?
So I hadn't really thought about the text messaging aspect, and I was in a coaching program with Jasmine Womack, and it was at the time was helping us to develop the book that we put out called 14 Secrets to a Done Dissertation. And part of what she was saying was like, well, you can't do all these speeches and go all these places. You don't get their information, and you want to pull them offline. So she was like, SuperPhone is a great way to do that. And so that's what initially started us in this SuperPhone, journey, if you will. So initially it was just a way to, if I ended a speech, I would say, you know what, for everybody here, if you text #free to 301-701-2466, you get access to a guide. And that was initially just the way that we use SuperPhone, from the start. But then now we've grown it to, helping us with our sales calls. I don't know, Renee, if you want to talk about that side with SuperPhone and kind of how we leverage it there, and how we've kind of grown it out since the beginning.
Yeah, we utilize it a number of ways. So one of the things I do is I handle all of our sales calls and consultations. So we have everything enabled. So once someone goes through our process to sign up to have a conversation with me, SuperPhone is sending them the Zoom link, sending them everything that they need to go ahead and get started for the call. And if and when there's some snafu, someone's running late with the scheduling, I can just quickly pop into SuperPhone and send them a text. Whereas before I was sending them an email and they weren't getting that email until hours later and the call was over.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to be able to pop into SuperPhone and say, I mean, it literally happened this morning. I had a consultation call and the person was running about 10 minutes behind. I was able to pop into SuperPhone, know it's going to go to their phone. Immediately they get the text message, oh, here's a Zoom link, boom, we're on the call. So we utilize it in that capacity as well.
Yeah, no, that is great. So really right now it's just you two who are managing the business as well as on the sales side, as well as once people are through the door and they've signed up.
It's just us on the front end. Oh, go ahead, Renee. You take that one.
Yeah, it's just us on the front end, but we do have a director of marketing. Her name is Carrie Henderson, and she helps us with scheduling all of our content, our emails. We send out weekly affirmations through SuperPhone to our customers. We send out blasts for when we're getting ready to do our weekly ABD to PhD show. She schedules all of that, helps us come up with the content, the meaning behind it based on where our folks are in the sales cycle. We also have another coach, Dr. Patricia Varela. She's a co-coach with Dr. Goings and actually came through our coaching program herself as a doc student and has now been successful. It's like a full circle moment. She's a prolific writer, researcher. She's just outstanding. And so she's also a part of our team, and we couldn't do what we do without the two of them.
Oh, that's great. That's great. You guys are definitely utilizing SuperPhone to its full capacity.
Yes.
We did have a great case study written about your business, and we've had a lot of praise from just members and people who are interested in just learning a little bit more on how you went about converting. Just through 10 conversions, you had 50K in revenue. Do you mind sharing a little bit more on how that worked? Initially, I believe you had a low ticket sale that led to, or you had an in-person event that led to a low ticket sale, and it kind of funneled them into a high ticket offering. But how was that approach, and how did you guys go about getting that put into place?
Yeah, so if I could walk like through the journey, what it would probably would start out initially was either through social media, or even if I go to give a classroom talk, maybe virtually like this, I would tell students, hey, I have this, guide that will help you, and I will use SuperPhone for that. So they could, use it in a hashtag, they can get to access to the guide. And then from there, we would then offer, we had a workshop that we used to run called Design Your Done Dissertation. It was a low ticket, like $49 workshop. It was a 5-hour workshop that folks would have access to for $49. And so we would leverage our SuperPhone contacts to send out the blast when that Design Your Dissertation event was running. And even for our SuperPhone folks in particular, we were on like a discount and promotion sometimes. So they would have exclusive access to that by being a part of our text community. And then from there, once they came to the event, the folks might have decided, hey, I actually want to work with you all and get more hands-on approach to coaching and getting out of my doctoral program. And then at that point, they could convert into our higher ticket program, which is mid 4 figures. And so that's how we're able, with very little, we don't need a lot of participants in order to make, a pretty high conversion in terms of monetary, income from the conversion.
Yeah. And now, Renee, when you were just interacting with people and sending any follow-ups, did you have a specific structure in place? Because we have many coaches who use SuperPhone who are always just looking to find other ways to really optimize its usage. Now, did you have anything in particular that worked for you, such as how often you will follow up with someone after you've had a conversation with them? Would you kind of lead them through a journey in the event they're not able to move forward with their payment plans, or what structure would you kind of walk people through after you've initially had a sales conversation?
Absolutely. And that's such a good question, because I'm a very black and white systematic person. And so creating kind of what I use as our guideline through our CRM, creating these pipelines in terms of, okay, a client starts here, and then if they do this, then they do this. We were able to create a system. Okay, if someone showed up to the workshop and then they joined the VIP day and got the higher ticket offer, but they weren't able to join for whatever reason, we have systematic follow-ups that we send them to just continue to nurture them through SuperPhone, through emails, through our social media. And it's funny because a lot of our clients, well, I don't want to say a lot of our clients, some of our clients go through a really long journey before they join our program. We've had some folks that we interact initially with, and it'll maybe be 2 years later before they join. So we do have a lot of different systems and follow-ups that we're continually sending, utilizing SuperPhone as one of the ways that we send those out to all of those folks that have come through, like our pipeline, our events, our program.
Yeah, and if I could add to that too, I think for SuperPhone users, the using the tag feature is really helpful, because then you can see someone's journey. That's how we're able to know, like, oh, this person came to this event in 2021. We can see that they came to another one because we had it tagged differently in 2022. So we can trail and track them over time. And, that's one great way. And then because you have them tagged, now I can send specific emails to people, let's say, who were on a sales call but didn't join. I can just send them only a text. So I think being mindful up front about the tagging of folks when they come into SuperPhone will really help you on the back end when you're trying to do this outreach in mass. And then I think for folks in terms of SuperPhone too, you can get a little fancier if you like connected with Zapier. So you can have these things that turn on and off. When people get certain messages, they join the program, they're off of this particular tag, but they're on this one. Like there's ways that we use Zapier in conjunction with SuperPhone to kind of make it the automation a little bit easier for us in terms of just what we have to do physically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That makes sense. I mean, Zapier itself is,
yes,
for some, it's powerful, but for some people, it's like, okay, this is a lot. What do I do? And others are like, hey, I got it. I know how to figure it out. So really the fact that you are able to leverage both is how you've been able to really find success with your SuperPhone usage. Now, any KPIs, any analytics, or anything that you guys track just internally for someone who is a coach who's using SMS marketing, they're using emails as well, but they're really looking to build and really make sure that they're measuring their performance with any text outreach or any emails that they're using. Do you have anything internally within your business that has been working for you that you are tracking just to measure progress, areas of improvement, and so on and so forth?
That's a good question. I don't know if we come up with a great system for that quite yet with the KPIs of SuperPhone. I know for me, like I'm looking at, all right, who clicks on the links? Like that's always something for me to understand, especially with our weekly show, to see who's clicking. Because even then, I can then retarget those folks and text the people who've only clicked the link. So I think that's another opportunity for us there. And then another feature I like, we just haven't fully integrated it yet, is that when someone pays and buys the program, we can then tag the monetary costs associated with that. So we can kind of see, the LTV, lifetime value of a customer within SuperPhone as well. I didn't realize that until like a year or two into using SuperPhone, I could do that. And I was like, oh God, I've missed all these opportunities to kind of catch folks. So I think that's a route we can go in the future, but I'm always looking for other ways. That's why the community that you all provide on Discord is so cool, because then people get to talk about what they're doing. And also this podcast is really helpful because I get to listen to other folks with a bigger platform, or how they're using this when they have, I think it was the Budgetnista. She had like 300,000 people on her list. Like, how is she managing that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not sure if you guys are currently using the custom contribution feature where you're tracking the purchases within your SuperPhone, but you're able to connect that as well through Zapier.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that you can look at.
Perfect.
Okay, great. So now just kind of speaking a little bit more on how the mentorship works within your program, how the journey works once people are enrolled. Do you have frequent check-ins through text? Are there reminders? I think you had mentioned earlier there's reminders for links and sessions, but outside of that, is there anything else that you're currently using or not using for anyone who may be interested in what you guys offer at the moment?
Renee, you want to take the first part of that? I'll jump in.
Yeah, in terms of our clients that are engaged in our program, we're having multiple touch points with them. The experience with us is generally a 4-month experience, very high touch. And so we're meeting with our clients on a weekly basis, but we have a lot of stuff going on in the background. And so we're utilizing SuperPhone to remind them of office hours meetings. We're reminding them of professional development sessions that we're having. We're reminding them of a lot of different things to make sure that they're able to take full advantage of all the resources and services that we're offering to them. And then, of course, we are meeting with our students and having, systematic check-ins. And so again, if I hop on a Zoom with somebody and it's 5 minutes in and they haven't shown up, maybe they forgot, I'm able to pop right into SuperPhone, send them a little warm reminder, and then hop on. So it really does come in clutch with communicating to our folks that are engaged in our program.
Yeah, and I think, using Zapier, we'd be able to connect it with Kajabi. So if we're hosting an event in particular, we could then have a sequence of text to make sure that people show up to the event. And I use this a lot when I'm doing university talks, and people have said, oh, I want to hear more about what you have to do when you come to our university. And so just really be able to blast out to them like, hey, we have this going on. Make sure you show up at, let's say the event's at 8 p.m. They might get a text at 7 and then maybe 7:55 about to show up at 8, so it's just like those things really help get people in the door too, I think, for events. So I hope that folks who use SuperPhone are using it for that way too, to get people to show up to things that we're doing, especially virtually, because people forget Zoom links and they forget stuff all the time.
All the time. Yep.
But if you send them a text message 5 minutes out, like, oh yeah, I remember, I'm supposed to see Rob right now. I gotta go. That type of thing. Yeah. So that really works well.
And then that's actually a good segue. Now, when you are having in-person events and speaking engagements, do you have a separate form in your SuperPhone that you prompt them? So do you set up any automations for in-person events as opposed to what you're doing virtually? And do you have them tagged separately, or do you just have everyone just funnel through, and then from there you manually segment the list and get them tagged?
Yeah, as best as we can. I try to have it so they're tagged individually in terms of the group I'm working with. It's really hard on the back end to really figure out, especially if a lot of people join, like who's who. So I try to avoid that when we do our in-person. Like we were at a university maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and yeah, we had their own hashtag by the university name. So I might say like "Go Bears," and if that's the mascot of the university, then I know that was from that particular university at that particular time. That's the way I think that helps us to do it in terms of the segmenting the list. But I think something that Ryan told me one time we did like a super session one time, and I was talking with him on the call, and he mentioned, and I didn't do it yet, he had like the textwithryan.com or ryanleslie.com. And I was like, we need to implement something like that where all they do is go to the website and put their number in, and that kicks off the automation. Because sometimes when you're doing in-person events, they're like, how do I do that again? The hashtag, they forget to put the hashtag in. Yeah. So I think sometimes being a little more strategic with the, what's it called? The widget, right? Is that the term for the widget?
The widget. And you can customize it as well, because even though, you tell people your number when you're speaking or you're at a live event, people are going to forget. It's easier for them to just go to, donedissertation.com or text, text Dr. Ramon or whatever it is. .com, and then directly people will remember that, okay, let me just go in and plug in my number, and then that triggers the automations on the back. So there's a lot that can definitely be done, but the fact that at least you're utilizing a lot of what we offer is great.
It's phenomenal. I mean, it's a great product, and it's just able for us to stay in contact with our clients. I mean, a lot of people want the big social media following, but we're like, forget that. Like, can we get them offline so that we can talk to them anytime we want? I can send a text to someone individually. So we have individual conversations. It's really good, especially for a program. If you're trying to, like you said, have a high touch point, have a high price point, I think it's really important to have those individual conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, final question here, community building amongst your audience, students, for any of our coaching or aspiring coaches who are using SuperPhone and really want to learn more about how you go about just building a community around your offering. Do you have any tips or suggestions, either Renee or Ramon, around that?
Renee, you want to take that one, start?
Community building around, I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
Yeah, just community building around people who've already enrolled. Now, once they're enrolled, do you have any, let's just say, for example, in-person events where everyone meets one another, where you have that accountability, that networking amongst the community, or you're currently not offering anything like that?
So we're currently not, but there's something in the works. We definitely want to get, all of our folks in person at some point. Literally, like we were talking about this, I think a couple months ago, about how we on our podcast, how we need to have an in-person event where we have a lot of our alum and our current students come. But so far, it really all has been virtual. Of course, we have our weekly meetings. A lot of our folks that are engaged in our program, especially if they're not going to a brick and mortar school, can feel very isolated. So when we have our coaching calls every week, they're getting that sense of community. Not only are they getting the expertise of our coaches, but they're getting that intimate classroom feel. And so we're gathering and building a community. And I always like to tell folks when I'm chatting about our program, it's not only for now while you're in our program, but we really are trying to build a scholarly community for our folks to kind of have a natural built-in network so that once they go ahead and get their doctorate, they have all these other folks and alum from our program that they can write with, they can publish with, they can network with, they can seek job opportunities with. So it's really kind of like this integral thread that we have within our program in terms of building that community, so folks have these people that they can, work with after they're done with us. But we do want to have an in-person thing where we invite all of our alum to come back and just build community in person.
Yeah, because we have like over 100 people we directly helped earn their finish their program or are currently finishing their program. But then I'm just even thinking we've gone to conferences for entrepreneurship, and it happened to be people in the audience who are doc students who had been following our show or something else. Yeah. Like we had met people like that. And it's just like, wow, the reach is way bigger than I even think what we probably imagine at this point. And so, yeah, I would love to get people together. I think just to see that and have a whole big picture of everybody that's gotten their doctorate. It would be amazing to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to a wedding and I was standing at an hors d'oeuvre table and I had someone come up, "Oh, you're Dr. Goings' wife, Done Dissertation." Yeah. Oh, I watched the show. I'm like, really?
You never know who's watching and who's listening.
Exactly.
You never know. Oh, that is great. Thank you both for sharing. Now, for anyone who is interested in learning more about what you offer, please go ahead and plug away your website, any socials, your phone number, how people can learn more.
Yeah, for folks who want to learn more about what we're doing, and if you're a doc student in particular, you can actually text the hashtag Elevate, ELVATE, to 301-701-2466. That will give you access to a brand new training we have rolling out. It's called Elevate Your Academic Writing. So it's teaching people our strategy, our formula on how to improve as an academic writer. And then for folks who are looking for us online, you can follow us on social media. Just type in Done Dissertation wherever you're going to look for us. We're there. The name is like at Done Dis Coach on some platforms or Done Dissertation, but we're the only Done Dissertation out. So if you type us in, you will find us on all platforms. And our show from AB to PhD show is on our YouTube channel, and that's weekly, every Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And folks can catch hundreds of episodes of the replays online at this point. So go to YouTube and type in Done Dissertation. You'll find us there as well.
Awesome. Well, hey, Renee, Dr. Ramon, thank you so much for lending your time with us today. Thank you all for joining SuperPhone, and we will catch you next time.